Hello everyone, good afternoon. I am Madhvi Suthar.
And I'm Rutushri Rao.
We are students from GLS University, currently in 5th semester of IMBA program.
As a part of our entrepreneurship development course, we are organizing a podcast titled Journey of Entrepreneurs.
During this session, we aim to delve into the intricacies of entrepreneurship within organizations, exploring first-hand experiences and practical insights.
We are honored to have Mr. Sahil and his wife, who are the startup founder of the famous cafe in our town, which is Bubblepop Pancakes.
We would like to thank Mr. Sahil and Mrs. Sunny to allow us to give us the time and conduct this podcast. How are you guys feeling?
We are doing really well, and honestly, I'm very excited for this podcast. It amazes me to see that now the institutes have started having this as a part of their culture, where they can, apart from what you get in the books, you can go out in the market and speak to people with a first-hand experience. Yes. And I mean, we are glad we have you guys here. Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's start with our first question. Why did you decide to start your own business?
I mean, yes. So the idea is that I had a day job, all right, and I worked for like 12 years in retail, and Sunny came in from Hong Kong in something 2014.
Yes.
And that's when, so I come from a family where, food business has been a heritage in our family, all right, it's a generational business. But we figured that food business is, again, it's a very pseudo perspective. The idea is that food business, especially in a space like Ahmedabad or Gujarat, where there's nothing apart from food, has become so monotonous that there's no innovation, there's no excitement to food business. And that's where it hit us that, if we try to be more innovative, that's where, we could maybe start something of our own and see how it goes. Naturally, the long-term plan was also to, escape from a day job and get into something that we really love and we would want to see grow. So yes, it took us like 8 years now to nourish the brand to a point where I quit my job like 3 years back, and now we are doing this business full time. So the main idea is, naturally you would want to do something of your own rather than working for someone else. Working for someone else is not bad, but then you have to set a limit where you stop learning from others and then practically start putting all those learnings into your own life and see how it goes ahead.
I think one of the things to add on to it is we see, at first, of course, it's a personal reason when we want to, stand up on our own feet. The second thing is that, a lot of friends and families have also appreciated him for his professionalism. Like, he's a person who gives his whole, to his job, when, in his whole career of 13 years, friends and families have been telling us that, you have been so sincere, corporations have their own policies, but, I mean, obviously, a big corporate cannot appreciate, a person as much as, how much efforts one person has given. And I believe that's one of the things that we wanted to change, and, we have taken it in the mission of ourselves that even if one day we become a big brand, we want to, work differently. Yeah. Yes. So
it all starts from a dream.
Yeah.
I mean,
What advices would you give to someone who is just starting their business?
I'll tell you, the essence of business is always behind the passion that you want to chase. All right. So just because we are in food industry, you see we are doing good, or maybe hospitality businesses seemed to be very glamorous. So you'll see a lot of people saying that, "Ha, yaar, inhone acha kara, they have been doing good. Even we can do it." Probably they are more funded than us. Maybe they are more richer than us, and they could have an equal amount of maybe an equal sized cafe right away. But the idea is that if you genuinely want to start your business, you have to first figure out what's your passion, and you have to stop chasing money. The idea of business is to bring a solution in the market. You have to figure out the void, the problem that the market faces, and your business has to be purely a solution to that problem. Money will follow. All those monetary gains, glamour, growth, everything will follow if you just stick to your passion and keep solving problems in the market. For example, our food business, to say food is a very open-ended thing, right? But if you go through what we have been doing since last 8 years, everything that's there in our menu and was there in our menu has been purely an innovation. We would try to figure that today if I am a consumer and if I go to good restaurants or even hotels for that matter, and if I go there, do I have the option to try something that I always wanted to try in a very different manner? A small example is that, Subway, right? Subway did brilliant because you could choose your bread. You could choose what vegetables you want, you could choose what sauces you want. At the end of the day, it's nothing but just a sandwich, right? But then the matter of the fact is that they did this so brilliantly is purely the innovation behind it, right? So just because you're in food business doesn't mean that you just have to follow the stereotype norms. You can be innovative. And for somebody who wants to do their business, regardless of whether it's food or IT or whatever, they have to figure out what's the need of the market. Their product has to be a solution and not just another brand for the consumers to hit. I hope that answers.
Where do you see your business in 5 to 10 years?
Wow, that's an amazing question. Honestly, this is what, way back we used to think. Where do we see ourselves in 5 years, 10 years? But after COVID, frankly, the sector that we are in, hospitality, I don't want to sound pessimistic, but having such a long horizon is something that we don't practice anymore. All right. And the way businesses have been evolving thanks to social media, people are so informative and knowledgeable right now that something that I choose today as a threshold or a benchmark for the next 5 years might be something that somebody is going to do it by tomorrow or the next week. So the way we have looked at it is that we no longer see the brand as just a food brand. We would want Bubblepop to be more like a community space where food is just the backbone that's striving the community. All right. I don't know if it makes sense, but at the end of the day, Bubblepop we want that Bubblepop becomes a name where associations of multiple brands, cross branding, marketing, everything starts from Bubblepop and ends at Bubblepop. While food is going to be the backbone, going to be the peer structure of the brand that supports everything that we do with the goodwill that we have right now in the market, and naturally the funds also. So if you ask me what is going to be Bubblepop 5 years later, I think you would see Bubblepop in merchandising, you would see Bubblepop as community spaces, you would see Bubblepop maybe as a YouTube channel, a lot of different places, and just not a cafe. And we would want a lot of people to now also understand that the culture working in hospitality business has to change. I've done hotel management, right? And I've done my 6 months internship at a 5-star property in Ahmedabad, and I've seen that even if you work at a chota dhaba or a 5-star property, the work culture is more or less the same. It's just that the language that people speak in is different. So this culture has to change because good people are afraid of entering into hospitality jobs because they think they have to work for 14 hours, they'll be exploited for the first 2-3 years at the minimum wages, which has to genuinely change. And that is where we think we would want to bring a movement if we become big enough to bring that cultural change even in the job structures related to anything to do with service sector or hospitality. So 5 years down the line, I'm not going to answer that, you know, we see 10 bubble pops in India, but we see that even if there's one bubble pop is creating that impact in the culture and community where we can give back to people that the way they supported us. You know, if we could do something for local businesses, we could do something for our team, we could do for people that are associated with bubble pop directly or indirectly.
So one interesting question, like how is your business different now versus when you started it?
I mean, it's light years different. It's very different. Way back when we started, it was just Sunny and me. We started from a small push cart on the road, and today, 8 years down the line, we are a funded brand. We have got some strong investors, those who have promised us some funding, and the very cafe that we are seated in, the expansion of this cafe happened in last 6 months. All right, so business has changed, mindset has changed. Most importantly, the challenges related to the business have also evolved. Back then, it used to be, living one day at a time. Now, when we walk around with a team of 15 to 18 people associated with us, investors, funds, a lot of things related to and connected to our business, we have to think slightly in a more advanced format. And something that's majorly changed is the evolution of customers. Back then when we were serving pancakes was something very new to the crowd of Ahmedabad, right? And even if it was not so new, the trust in this particular thing that road par pancake bik sakta hai, acha mil sakta hai, was a big question, right? And fast forward today in 2024, everything's available on Instagram, YouTube, this, that. We get customers over here, those who know more about what we have to serve. They are so knowledgeable, and roaming around the world is become so easy that, people go to Europe or other continents and they come back with so much of knowledge of, those continental foods that, when they come here, they have a set expectation. And I mean, yes, business has evolved from all angles, right from the challenges to the customer experience.
How do you set your business apart from other in your industry?
How do we set our business apart from others in the industry? See, honestly, we don't really look at ourselves as a very big brand at this point in time, and we have got immense respect for everyone who's out there, because honestly there's a lot of learning from almost everyone who's been doing this business and somebody who's starting the business even right now. But one thing that we promised ourselves from the beginning is that we'll never be chasing money. All right, so especially in our business, it's very common for people to cut corners, compromise on quality, compromise on quantity, compromise on experience, in short, compromise on everything that's a deliverable. All right, we promised ourselves that we'll maybe not take back home as much, or if needed, we'll remove from our pockets and contribute in the business, but we will never ever cut corners. So as I said in the beginning, when you figure out what's the void, what's the problem in the market, and you bring your product as a solution to it, and if you just chase it as your passion, that would in a way set you slightly apart from others in the market. And that is what we are still doing today. I mean, we know, and our investors know the kind of revenue that we are doing, but they also know the kind of profit margins that we have. All right, as compared to any other brand in the market, we work at a very low margin because we try to deliver a high quality product with a bigger portion size, but at a price which at least seems reasonable. All right, so we don't want to overboard just because we are based at a location which is premium, just because we are based in an interior which is premium and we deliver premium food. We don't want to overcharge anything. So what sets us apart is that we till date, even from the street to a high street cafe, we have not forgotten why we started this business. We never wanted to chase money. We wanted Bubblepop to become a brand people trust, and a brand people would want to get associated with. So yeah, as I said, if you give the right experience, if you give the right product, money is going to follow you. So you'd rather not chase money at the moment.
Like, how did you guys come up with the name Bubblepop?
Oh my god, that is something only Sunny can answer.
So, actually, Bubblepop, majorly when we started, it's just purely, the core product was just pancakes. So we wanted to do something like, something very different. We want, the name to reflect the energy. So it's really very much out of nowhere. Bubblepop actually means when you cook the pancake now, in the batter, the bubble comes up and it pops. And the word is also something that really represents our energy, because we are very, at least I feel we can say that about ourselves. We are very energetic, We want people, when they hear the name, it's, associated with good energy, positivity, So people come here, we want them to be uplifted, So that's why we were like, this clicks, and we were like, let's do it like that way, yeah.
So how did you market your business when it was new?
Honestly, we didn't market ourselves as much. When business was new, we were so new in it that we were purely focusing on building up a better product day by day, improving our services or improving whatever we have to serve day by day. We never, back then, even Instagram was, relatively, it wasn't new, but people were not so familiar with Instagram. Instagram was most of a photograph application, right? Today everything's on Instagram, correct? So we just made an Instagram page, we made a Zomato page, and that's it. And I think Facebook, yes. And Zomato was not even delivering back then. But that actually worked in our favor, because we were so focused on what we were doing rather than marketing and all different things. The fact is, we also didn't have the budget, all right. But most importantly, we were so focused on building up a better product day by day, day by day, day by day. Eventually, it so happened that people liked our product so much that they started, market us on behalf of the brand, So if you would come to us, you would like it, you would tell her, and she would tell her friends and family and everyone. And till date, even though we carry a funding with us, I believe there is nothing better than a reference or a word of mouth, as you say. There's no better stream of marketing, there's no better way to market your product than references or word of mouth. You could go out, do advertisements, you could collaborate, you could have shoots and videos made, but frankly, when a customer comes here and they don't find something as appealing as they saw on the video, they're not going to come back to you. No matter how many views or likes you have, how many shares you have, no matter how beautiful the model looks in the video. So something that worked for us back then still works till date for us, and that is word of mouth. And we were so focused on making our product so good that it eventually happened for us. So that's the biggest marketing strategy we have till date, that we keep building good products, we keep delivering a good experience, and eventually, customers bring more customers to us.
How have you grown personally from becoming an entrepreneur?
Wow. So, first thing that we keep telling ourselves is that we cannot be emotionally vulnerable anymore. Back then, when it was a new business, with every new challenges and hardships, every new disappointments, we would break down immensely, because we would think that, is this what we are doing for? We are not even getting paid enough, we are not even taking back home money, Yeah, customers are praising, you see your photos going online, but you know, at the end of the day, it doesn't bring you revenue, it doesn't bring you money. So, you know, you start questioning whether is this what you exactly want, and you know, we keep reminding ourselves that that is what we want. You know, we want Bubble Pop to be known everywhere, and we would just use that as an anchor to get hooked on and create our emotional stability. So when we started our journey, I would say, at least personally, I was very emotionally vulnerable with all disappointments, customer feedbacks, issues with staffs, a lot of different things, a lot of different challenges that we would face. You know, even today in a monsoon day, if it's raining heavily, we would start thinking, "Arey yaar, aaj business nahi kar sakenge. Shucks, all our material is going to get wasted. All customers are going to go back and they'll not come back tomorrow. What would happen?" You know, overthinking. Today, if you say in a very layman language, we are very thick-skinned towards these things, and we have become very practical. We have now drawn a line where anything related to brand will be emotional about it, and anything related to business will be very practical about it. And it's very important because business means numbers, revenues, locations, returns, ROIs, everything. And brand means, you know, it's like your baby. So when it comes to a brand, we'll be very emotional. If it comes to a customer experience, we'll be very emotional towards it. We'll give in our heart and soul towards it. But when it comes to revenues, or when it comes to your staff leaving or new staff joining, training, products coming in incomplete as stocks, all challenges, like just as I shared, you know, we were chasing a timeline for GST filing. So all these things, we deal with it very practically. We are no longer emotionally vulnerable. We don't sit and overthink. We have become quite thick-skinned because we know that if right now we break down, it's just not Sunny and I getting affected. We have got like at least 15 to 18 people working with us, their families, our funders, our investors, their margins, maybe their thought process, everything gets affected if just she and I get affected. So it's very important to be, you know, emotionally stable, spiritually stable, and be very practical when it comes to business.
Like, were there any mistakes that you think that you made in this journey?
A lot. I mean, a lot. Right from being very critical about ourselves, you know, we would be the biggest critics for our own brand, our own personal performance, our products. Something as basic as being pessimistic about what we used to deliver. You know, we used to be our biggest critics. And we figured that, you know, that was one of the biggest mistakes we did, because we got so choked up, we got so involved in judging ourselves that we couldn't grow, frankly. If there would be people coming up to us and saying that they could help us grow the brand back then, maybe through franchisees or channel partners, we would not trust them. You know, we would always think that, nahi yaar, Bubble Pop agar iske haath mein jayega, they wouldn't deal with the brand as we do, because we always took as Bubble Pop as a baby. So, you know, it was like, no, what if somebody else wants to foster our baby, or, you know, just babysit our brand? It wouldn't go as well. So, I think we made plenty of mistakes, and one of that was being way too critical about ourselves and way more sensitive about what others have to talk about us. You know, we were always behind people pleasing back then, which in a way worked in our favor, but also took away a lot of opportunities that we had to grow. And we would have been somewhere else today. Trust me, had we not been so overcritical about ourselves, or, you know, be sensitive towards who we get associated with. So yes, that's one of our biggest mistake, and one thing that we would always want to, you know, at least give away to people who see this and think about doing their own business is that be open for options, you know, be open for opportunities. Don't be very critical or don't be judgy about someone. At least see the opportunity and then, you know, decide on a very practical ground and not a very emotional ground.
how do you keep yourself updated with changing customer needs?
It's a very simple way. It's interacting with customers. Yes, the fact of the matter is going online, studying about it, watching YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram, signing up for different courses. There are a lot of things that you could do in a way to keep yourself updated with the market, but the relevance is only there when customers speak about it. All right, so the biggest thing that you could do for your own brand, or we did, is interaction with customers, their feedbacks. Every customer's good or not so good, or maybe a negative feedback, was the biggest learning for us. Anybody who would come to us with even a constructive feedback that we think this should be plated this way, or this should be offered this way, or they should have this with it, or they would have gone somewhere else, Mumbai, anywhere, any other place in the world, and they come back saying that, yeah, we tried this back there. Their feedback and their experience is the only thing that's relevant to you. Anything else, who's doing what in Europe, who's doing what in US, is not at all relevant. Who's doing what in Baroda is also not relevant, until and unless your group of customers or your market finds it to be the next big thing, right? So a small bit is that a lot of customers, as people know us for doing pancakes, a lot of customers came to us for souffle pancakes, which are those big jiggly pancakes, jelly like.
Yeah.
Now they would just see that on the video and come here saying that you should do that souffle pancakes. And when we would just share a very basic fact about it, that those pancakes contain eggs, they would take a back foot. Arey nahi, to fir to acha hi hai. Because we are a 100% vegetarian brand. So what happens is, now if I see somebody doing souffle pancakes and I would want to chase that, I would change the entire genre of my brand. Right? So if my customers don't find it relevant, it doesn't matter if somebody is minting money behind souffle pancakes or whatsoever in whatever part of the country, it's not relevant to me. So to be relevant, you have to interact more with your customers. You have to take constant feedbacks, suggestions from them. That will help you change.
What, according to you guys, would be the upcoming trends or the market changes in your business?
More competition. I think the upcoming trend is, frankly, now we are based out of Ahmedabad, Gujarat, and I mean, as much as we take pride in saying that it's a dry state, we also know the fact of the matter is that there is nothing beyond food industry as a source of entertainment also today's date. You'll see food parks, you'll see different hubs, food courts, where major entertainment zones are there. Pehle ulta hota tha. If there's a live show that's going to happen, if there's an artist who's going to happen, they would find a good artist. कि भाई इसका है, ये sound देना है, ये light देना है, this is the sponsorer. Today they will see that, okay, if there's a show happening, how many food stalls can they put? So it's become a little reversible at this point in time. So we think the upcoming trend is more competition in the market, which is eventually very healthy, because with more competition, the customer has more choices to make. The customer no longer feels that they are cheated just because one person has to offer. It's very important to have a special product, but also having a monopoly in the market somewhere seizes the fact or takes away the freedom from a customer, right? So more competition is what we see coming up. Back then when we started pancakes, there were just 1 or 2 people doing pancakes. Today there's pancake waffle and East Asian food, Korean food, Japanese food that we do right now. It's there almost everywhere. In every lane you find it, and that's very interesting. That's very interesting. With all due respect to all the brands that are doing there, we greatly admire them. But what works in your favor is, A, you sooner or later get to know where do you stand in the market. Because when you see your customers coming back to you saying that यार मैं पिछली बार वहाँ जाकर खाकर आया या खाकर आई, but you know what we had here is very different. We had gone to Singapore and we had a meal like this. You know, that brings you more confidence in yourself, and that also helps you in, you know, taking risk that tomorrow if you start something new, people would, you know, widely accept it, because sooner or later that would become a market trend, maybe through you or through different brands in the market.
What will you never compromise on your business?
The culture of our business, the culture of a brand. When I talk about culture for us means the experience that we give to the customer, the product that we deliver to the customer, and also a very important aspect of it is the culture within our team. Alright, you know, we will never ever compromise just to save few bucks, just to earn a little more, that we cut corners, or you know, we kind of compromise on our quality, quantity, we give something that's, you know, not good for our customers. We always, you know, the thumb rule that we have here at Bubblepop is that we would always serve something to the customers that we can serve our parents. It's very simple. If I know today my 75-year-old dad is going to get sick after eating that quality of food, I will never do it. So, you know, as we always keep saying that we will never cut corners. So we will never cut corners when it comes to giving the right product to the customer, and we will also never cut corners when it comes to looking after our team, you know. So there's a zero compromise or a zero tolerance policy within the brand when it comes to customer experiences or when it comes to experiences within the team. If a customer feels that even after finishing 80% of the food they didn't like it, they either leave being charged nothing, or the entire food, the entire meal gets replaced. All right. And if also within the team, if it is such that, you know, it's very common in the hotel industry for people to be a little more straightforward, which, you know, in a very polite way, if I have to say, is, you know, being rude or being on the face within the team. But we don't allow it. You know, we keep we would want, as I said in the beginning, you know, we would want to develop that culture where people stop being afraid of taking up jobs in hospitality. So to preach that, it's very important for us to practice it within our own brand. So we would never compromise on culture, on customer experience, or the team experience for that matter. We just want that when people think about Bubblepop, may it be our customer, may it be our team member or an ex-employee, they have just good feelings and happy memories with us. That's all, and that all results in just giving the right experience.
What qualities do you think like every entrepreneur should have?
Patience. I mean, you could be very good at mathematics, you could be great with finances, you could be great with marketing, you could be great when it comes to developing a product, but all this boils down to zero if you're not patient enough. You know, you have to always remember why you started the business to begin with, and not forget it in midst of all hurdles and turbulence that you go through your journey. You just have to understand that, you know, nothing happens overnight. And all the overnight successes also have overnight failures. So if you're not patient with yourself, you're not patient with your brand, you're not patient with your product, with your customers, with your team, that's the first thing you'd want to, you know, circle back on and tell yourself that you have to be patient. If you want to see your brand, if you want to see your product grow, if you want people to talk about you, it is not going to happen overnight. It didn't happen for us. I've seen it's not happened for a lot of great brands that are there in the market, and all those brands, those who have achieved it overnight, you'll not see them anymore in the market. You know, I don't want to take names, but a very big e-commerce or what do you say, education available on internet. You know, it was a very big name 3 years down the line during COVID, and today you see they are going bankrupt. In another 6 months you'll not even see their name. So that was an overnight success, you know. So overnight success comes with overnight failures also. You have to be patient, and even if it comes with failures, you have to be still patient enough to, you know, not fearing from growing it from ground zero. In our business, we have seen at least 3 to 4 major failures where from big cafes we again went back to street. You know, failures with our health, failures with our relationships, failures with our businesses, but we didn't give this up. So, you know, being patient is what is very, very, very important.
How do you balance short-term and long-term financial goals for your business?
That's a very interesting question. So, Sunny and I, we are not at all from a finance background, you know, and for that matter, we are not even from a commerce background either. All right, but one thing that we learned with our business growing from a scratch to wherever we are today, few things you have to get your numbers right. You know, you have to at least have a very strong forecast for maybe a quarter, if not any further. If your finance doesn't permit it any further, at least for a quarter is something that you have to have your forecast very right. You don't have to overboard with any overheads. So if I think I can work with 8 team members comfortably, I think the max I should push myself is keeping a leverage of extra 2 team members. Just in case if somebody is unwell, or for that matter if there's a big event at the cafe or anywhere else, right? But going beyond that, just to, you know, relax ourselves, that I could have, instead of 8, I could have 14 team members and not even show up at the cafe for a week, go off to a vacation and something. That is something that we don't practice, you know. So a short term or a long term financial goal for us is that to have enough working capital self generated from the business for a quarter, you know. So and budgeting plays a very important role. So there could be months where, you know, we could budget ourselves for the entire month of stock, marketing, team training, collaborations, and there could be months where, you know, we would not want to exceed more than 2 weeks of budgeting, because we see that maybe it's monsoon, so business might not be the same every time. If it's summer vacation, business might not be the same every weekend because families go out for vacations, right? Monsoons, people don't prefer coming out. Wedding seasons, people don't prefer coming out and dining in. You know, everybody's busy going to marriages. So you have to be very wise and you have to be very specific about, you know, the trends that your particular business is related to. For example, food business, if you're sensitive towards those trends, you can budget yourself wise enough for a quarter and keep it that way and not overboard with any overheads or expenses. If I know that, you know, collaborating with decent influencers is going to, you know, generate me good revenue, I'm not going to go out and just because now I'm funded by an investor, I'm going to go out and catch the biggest marketing agency to shoot a, you know, and very affluent advertisement for my brand. I don't want to make a portfolio, right? I want to sustain my business. So they could charge you 80-90,000 for an ad shoot, but that 80-90 is going to suffice for at least 5 salaries or 6 salaries of my team members, or maybe half the rent that I have to pay, half the electricity that I have to pay. So I have to be wise enough that if I can do with a decent influencer who might charge 10% of that big chunk and still generate me a good revenue, I'll stick to that decent influencer, you know. You always have to be very relevant. You don't have to do it just because others are doing it.
You have to weigh the pros and cons of, you know, spending a certain budget, not on the basis of what other competitors are doing, but based on your own research, and your own observation. Like, the examples he had raised is like how other people, like a lot of restaurants, what they do is they keep a very high budget, to do like bloggers meet and, agency go hire karo. But what our own observation and research tells us that those don't directly generate revenue. They don't convert into footfall. So what we see is when an agency comes to us, we first research that, okay, did they actually generate footfall, whether it is like whatever they have committed, in paper and legal terms, have they been able to deliver in the past in their other portfolios? So this is one of the example what we say when we, we make judgments or we make a decision based on our own research and our own observation. Example. So I think that boils that down.
Other than profits, like how do you measure your success?
Wow, I never thought about it this way. But yes, I mean, profits are, the easiest way that you can always enjoy your success or maybe measure it. But for us, it is, as I said, I've been telling this again and again, for us, it is how many lives, are we able to touch with our experience, with our product, with our culture, with our community is what matters. So for us today, if regardless of what the profit is or what the loss is, if we still are able to withhold the brand positioning in our customers' point of view, in our team's point of view, in the market standards for that matter, in all parallel levels, maybe customers, employees, our vendors, the merchants, those who have worked for us. If we still withhold the position in their eyes that नहीं यार बबल पॉप के लिए काम करना है, बबल पॉप ठीक है पैसा शायद लेट देगा, पैसा शायद कम देगा, शायद ज़्यादा देगा, बट बबल पॉप के साथ काम करने में मज़ा आता है या बबल पॉप जाने में मज़ा आता है. At the end of the day, for us, it is very important of the emotion, sentiment and the experience that Bubble Pop delivers. In no matter what vertical it is, it could be from a brand to a customer, from a brand to an employee, from a brand to a merchant, from a brand to a competitor even for that matter. We, we want to remove this taboo of, a brand being unapproachable. I mean, today sitting with you, I mean, you're almost a decade younger than me, more than a decade younger than me and Sunny, but, we feel very honored that, youngsters like you at least thought about getting in touch with us to know how businesses work better or in more detail or more in depth, right? So this is the kind of impression we want outside, that tomorrow if anybody wants to get associated or connected with Bubble Pop, if they don't second thought about it, that's success for us. Profits and loss are just a balance sheet in a business journey. So I think profit and losses are more it's for our investors to judge, to measure us. But for us, on a brand perspective, how good we are doing is, purely through how many people and how many lives we can connect with. That's all that we believe in,
What are some hard choices you had to make to get where you are right now?
My God, that is again a very long list, and honestly, it's like a disclaimer before I give out this list. We don't want the viewers or people, those who, even if out of 1,000 people we end up inspiring one, we don't want to fill their hearts with fear. We want to promote a strong mindset, but if what are the hard choices we made? Hard choices is taking the decision of distancing ourselves from everything that's a social event, birthdays, celebration, marriages, vacations, sick leaves, going out with friends, socializing with family, and even to a point looking after ourselves. So yesterday being Sunday, the weekend, we hit our record-breaking numbers for one single day. We went back home like around 1:32 in the night. I think we managed to go to sleep after finishing all the accounts like around 4 in the morning. We had to wake up 7ish because Sunny wasn't feeling well. And by 8 o'clock, we got to know that, there's some problem with the GST filing. And since 8:39, we are out and we are here right now. We have not had our meal, we have not had breakfast, we have hardly had like 3 or 4 hours of sleep. And we have a long day ahead, we have got some couple of meetings. But again, my point is, this is purely to promote a strong mindset. I don't want to sound cliche by saying that you cannot make it big by not making hard choices, but you have to understand that behind every decision that you make, behind every choice that you make, you do not have to forget why you started this journey. So today my friends are chilling and enjoying the weather, but I'm here and I'll be here for the entire night, evening. I'll not go out. I know I'm sacrificing a lot of personal life at a critical age curve that I'm at. I meet my parents once in a month. Our parents live in Ahmedabad only. We live like 14 kilometers away from each other, but we manage to catch up once or twice a month. With our friends, we manage to catch up maybe even lesser than that. Phone calls and WhatsApp groups what have kept us alive. Sending reels to each other has kept us alive. That's the maximum that we socialize. So yeah, those are the hard choices that we made. But a very good example is, and maybe the viewers, those who go to the gym would relate to this, is when you work out, and people, those who work out to bulk, to grow muscles grow by tearing the existing tissues. When you work out a lot, your tissues tend to tear and then they start bulking up and you grow more muscles. So they know the kind of hard choices that they make, the kind of meal that they eat, the kind of sleep pattern that they follow, the kind of schedule that they follow, the kind of hours that they put in, the kind of pain that they go through, wear and tear of their tissues and muscles. But they do it because they are so passionate about themselves. They want to craft and scalp the physique that when they see themselves in the mirror, they want to have pride in the hard work, in the sweat and blood they have, released in reaching that point. So everybody makes that hard choices, even getting into a good outfit, you have to think 10 times, what to eat, what not to eat, things like that. So when you're marking a business journey, when you want to become a big brand, you have to take choices which maybe on a very conventional level might not seem to be very positive, but you have to have a very strong mindset that TK, for the next 10 years I might just get off the grid. I'll stop socializing, I'll stop maybe catching up with family, I'll not go to occasions, but 10 years later when I really turn up to these occasions, people would at least look up to me. I'm not saying you'll turn up in a BMW, but at least when you go there 10 years later, you have good things to inspire people with, and that's all matters at the end of the day.
Who is the one entrepreneur that you look up to or like is your?
Oh my God. So there are plenty, alright. There are a lot of people that I personally look up to, alright. But my biggest, I would say, backbone, or whenever I kind of get drifted away with a lot of negativity around me, is I look up to my mom, who's the one who somehow inspired us to get into the food industry. She still owns a food truck at the Sept University Road, goes by the name Auntie's Dhaba. All right, so she's almost 70, 71 at this point in time, and she still turns up to work. You know, she's got slip disc, she's got spondylitis, she's diabetic. I mean, I'm not saying this to, you know, glorify her ailments or her struggles, but I always think that if she can do it, I mean, we can do it also. All right. And naturally, there are a lot of good people around you. There are small businesses, there are big names, those who, you know, are there in limelight, those who are not there in limelight, those who work behind the shows to get inspired from. So for me, I look up to my mother a lot. I look up to my father a lot as well when it comes to taking decisions practically. He's not been a business person, but he's been somebody who always wanted to be a business person but couldn't be one, right? So that's where you get to see the mindset that when people in your family aspire to do something, but for some circumstances or external issues they couldn't do it, you always want to be the black sheep in the family, that you would want to go against all the trauma, drama of your generations and generations that are there, and do something great so that you make them proud that humne to kar liya at least. So yes, I mean it's running in the family only. So we don't really have to look here and there. We just look back in our family and we get inspired.
One thing I also really wanted to plug about mom is she is excellent in deciding what is best for the customer, but also draw a line when she values herself.
True.
Today, if you go online and see she has gone viral multiple times on Instagram and Facebook, and you will see a lot of different types of comments about her. You get people who goes crazy for her food. Oh, her roti is the softest. People from outside of the state, who comes to Ahmedabad for work, they go there every night. Students, bachelors working alone here, they say that literally I feel like at home when I come to Auntie Aisa. Now there are also, on the contrary, people who kinds of talks a lot of things about her not speaking nice, or she not being approachable and stuff. But let's not forget the fact that she's her age, her experience in the industry, and the price, the speed that she's serving you food. And then you also, you cannot, she's the golden standard of, okay, this is how much I can give you, iske aage don't demand from me, So you will get it, you either get it. Three things I heard from, there's this quote that I've heard from another business owner, that you can either get cheap, you can either good service, you can either get, what was the third thing?
So yeah, I mean,
good service, good price, and fast service. Three things, you will only get two. You cannot demand all three things. And mom is like the true essence of this quote, Situationally, you get both of the things. Sometimes you get all three also, But it's, she is the golden standard of knowing her value and then giving the best of what she can give, and that's one of the reasons why, I feel that she's so successful, because she has built this bunch of, community, in the sense, like, to her, it's, for her, everyone is her kid, it's like, beta, she speaks to everyone like this. And everyone also respects her and comes back to her every time. There are people who will value that, okay, auntie's busy, so I'll be more accommodating. There are people who don't respect that, then they don't come back again. And Ingo bhi, Ingo bhi khatta hi nahi, because she knows her value, and I've given the best now.
And I think one more thing, a lot of times we see inspirations as something that they have done something big, so get inspired. But I'll tell you one thing very honestly, if you are very true to your journey, you also get inspired by others' mistakes, right? So you also you not only get inspired by great things that they do, and you try to mimic them in a way, that you make them your idol, but you also do get inspired by their mistakes, because I believe when you see that okay, they walked this journey this way, and no matter they reached wherever they are, but you always see yourself a little different, that even I want to make it big, but I don't want to make it big this way. I would want to take a D route out of it. So you start speaking to them that you made this mistake, which now it's too late to change. What if we want to do something and not make this mistake? So, and consciously or subconsciously, they somehow always translate that देखो हमने तो कर लिया हमारी लाइफ में, it didn't work out, तुम ध्यान से करना. So you always have to introspect that why didn't it work out for them? Was it a mindset? Was it an external situation? Was it a family pressure thing? Was it a money pressure thing? Was it some trust issues within the partners or whatever? So for example, my family is very against partnership. That nahi beta partnership mein mat jao, right? But you have to see where it is coming from. So you have to learn from their mistakes so that you don't do the same mistakes. That also is an inspiration in a very positive mindset. So yes, again a very short answer to I mean if I have to make it very crisp to such a elaborated answer is that we get inspired by our parents a lot who are from a similar background.
What has been your most significant achievement?
Wow. I mean, I don't want to sound negative, but I personally feel we have not really achieved a lot yet. We could always, tag as owning a house or a car or different things at a very young age as achievements, but frankly, we don't really get fueled by it. And I might sound very pessimistic when I say that we have not really achieved a lot of great things, but one thing that I'm genuinely very proud of today is that we might have not achieved, but we have somehow managed to sustain the meaning of our brand in people's mind and heart when they hear about us.
We have translated.
Yes,
that.
we have somehow very successfully managed to sustain it. वो एक अच्छा achievement है हमारा, that when people hear about Bubblepop or when people see us even in shopping malls or somewhere, they say अरे यार हम लोग वहाँ आपके सेट पर लारी पर खाने आए थे, बहुत मज़ा आया, या हम लोग आपके कैफ़े आकर गए, we really enjoyed it. I mean, that is, for us, that is a great achievement. House, car, this, that is not. Getting investors on board, getting funded, going through 2 or 3 different rounds of funding and, more or less raising more than 1 CR is still not a very big achievement for us as compared to these, small things that, we could somehow not quantify or somehow not monetize in a way. These achievements are more close and more dear to us as compared to the material part for a brand. So yeah, I think that's been a significant achievement.
The last question for today's podcast is like, what are the goals that you are still working on towards achieving?
I mean, to name a few out of many, the first goal that we are genuinely working on achieving is to set a business which is completely autopilot. Alright. A lot of people think that when you own a brand, you become a business owner. But in my personal opinion, or I'm sure even Sunny shares the same idea, is if you have to still turn up at your own business and work, you are not really a business owner, you are more of a self-employed person who's not working under someone but eventually has to turn up to work. Alright, and there's a huge misconception in the market that if the owners are not around, things are not happening right. So I mean, it'll take a while, it might take a couple of months, it might take a year or more, but we are in the process of setting an SOP, a standard operating procedure, keeping every micro detail in mind, where nobody knows if the owners are around or not. Having 10 outlets or 2 outlets, or maybe having outlets out of Gujarat, is at this point of time not something that we are focusing on. We are focusing on purely one thing and one thing only, that how do we make the business model so smooth and fluid, setting up an SOP where we are no longer required to be present. Because if we ourselves are going to turn up at our own business, no matter how much pride we take in, no matter how comfortable we are in, we are still cannibalizing the growth and the future the brand could have. So if today I have to turn up here and maybe sit on my laptop and just from a very macro perspective just see if everything, or supervise everything, if it's happening right or wrong, I'm still investing my time in being at this location and supervising few things, instead of in getting involved in few more other things that could take the brand to another level, or exploring more ideas, more innovations that could build up a better brand value, or maybe increase the value. Yes, maybe outreach the brand also. So I think if you ask me what goals are we working on, this is one and sole goal that we are working on right now, is to make the brand to a point where it is so autopilot that nobody cares if the owners are there, not there, if the owners are around, if it's still run by the same owners or not.
I think in a softer language is how do we translate our beliefs and our work morals and standards to our team, in a sense that customers don't notice our absence.
Precisely.
Yes.
Customers don't notice our absence, employees don't feel the need to get in touch with us. We don't want to be unapproachable, but we want to build up a space, a system, in a way a matrix, where things are working, everything very automatically, very fluidly, very smoothly, and the experience is just getting better and better. We want to build up that mechanism. Now I don't know how easy or tough it is going to be, how much time it takes, but we could tomorrow have another 5 outlets or 10 outlets that are in the pipeline. But I think that's still not the big goal. The big goal is building up a very autopilot movement in the entire brand. So yeah, I think, wow, it's raining.